Last week, I talked about estrangement from the daughter's side. This episode, I'm going to talk about estrangement from the mother's side. If your mom whose adult daughter has pulled away, either fully or partially, I want to name what you might be feeling. It's probably grief. Nobody has given you nearly enough permission or space to actually feel it. So in this episode, I'm going to speak to the grief that mothers are probably feeling when they're experiencing estrangement from their daughters. But I'm also going to hold you accountable for your part in this. Remember, moms are safe here too, so I hope you'll stay and listen. Hey, really quick before I jump into the video, if you are a daughter who has been hurt by her mom and you're watching, please do not stop the video right now or at the very beginning without watching all the way through. While I am holding space for the feelings that come up for moms during estrangement, I'm holding space for their grief. I am holding them accountable, I promise. This is a very nuanced situation, and there's two parties in this, and both parties are feeling different emotions, which is why I made both of these videos separate instead of trying to talk to moms and daughters in one video. So please give me the benefit of the doubt and watch the video all the way through, because I am holding moms accountable and I am talking about the hurt that daughters have felt. But while I'm doing that, I am giving moms permission to grieve the loss that they are experiencing. It is a loss. And while they contributed to losing you, to losing their daughters, they still feel it. And so I'm doing my best to provide education to moms and daughters alike. I am making content for mother-daughter relationships as a whole, not just everything for daughters who have been hurt. So I just ask that you give me the benefit of the doubt and watch the video all the way through if you're going to be here. And maybe share this with your mom if you're estranged. Don't break no contact and share this with your mom. Hopefully she'll find it on her own. Anyway, let's jump back into the video. Let's start by naming what you're experiencing, because a lot of mothers don't have the language to describe this kind of pain. What you are going through is called ambiguous loss. Your daughter is fine. She's out there, but you've lost access to her. That's real loss that does deserve to be grieved. This isn't the same kind of loss as somebody passing, where everyone knows they're gone and they kind of have words to know what to say and to help you through, and they get it. Your daughter's still very much alive. She's still around. You might see her on social media. You might hear about her life from other family members. You might even see her occasionally at some family events. But the relationship that you had or the relationship that you hope to have is probably gone. Ambiguous loss is very difficult to actually grieve because there is no closure. There's no finality. There's just this painful space between she's here, but she's not here, where you're her mother, but you're not a part of her life, where everything is unresolved and really uncertain for both of you. One of the hardest parts about this experience is it can be so isolating. You can't really explain it easily to people who haven't been through it. And sometimes it's hard to explain to anybody without receiving judgment or shameful responses that make you feel even worse. When you try to share what's happening, the responses you get back from people might sound like, "What did you do to make her so angry? Just give her space. She'll come around. You must have done something. Daughters don't just pull away for no reason." And that one, I believe, because daughters don't actually pull away for no reason. Daughters want their mothers. So something happened, but it's still hard to hear. You may also hear, "Have you tried apologizing?" Or, "My daughter and I are so close, I can't imagine." And that one probably hurts the most. These comments, even when well-intentioned, compound your grief with shame. They suggest that this is your fault, that you failed, that you should be able to fix it if you just tried the right thing. So you end up carrying this grief alone, feeling like you can't talk about it without being judged or without people assuming that you are a bad or terrible mother. The grief you're feeling probably compounds around the holidays or big milestones. Mother's Day, when your daughter doesn't call. Holidays, when she's not at the table. Her birthday, when you don't know if you should reach out and it'll be welcomed or if it'll be ignored. Watching her life milestones from a distance or not being able to see them at all. Maybe you're hearing through someone else or through other family members that she got engaged, had a baby, graduated from school, or got a promotion. These big moments are reminders of the relationship that you don't have, the grandmother role that you might not get to play, or the closeness that you imagined but never actually materialized. On top of that grief might be embarrassment, having to explain to extended family or friends why your daughter isn't coming, fielding questions about why you're not in your grandchildren's life, or the shame of other people knowing that your daughter has no interest in being around you. This is pain that doesn't actually get talked about enough. So I wanted to make this episode to make sure that it does get talked about here. I did name this the Mother-Daughter Relationship Show. That way I could talk about mother-daughter relationships from all angles, even ones that are a bit more taboo. And I say this is taboo because when a daughter is estranged from her mom, we're looking at the mom to see what she did. What happened? What caused this estrangement? And we're putting the blame on the mother. And while I know that this is hard and that's honestly the right thing to do, because if a daughter is detached from her mom, it happened for a reason. But I know that there's moms out there who maybe are trying, who might actually be confused, who doesn't know how to get through this. And they are managing emotions that are really big and are really heavy. So this is a space for that. But while I'm holding space for your emotions, I'm also going to hold you accountable. Because if you want your daughter back, you're going to have to do some things differently. So let's jump into what that could look like. Now, let's talk about the stories that you might be telling yourself about why this is happening. Because the narratives that we create either help us heal or just help the pain grow. Let's start with the "she hates me" story. This is a story I hear from moms constantly. And I understand why it feels true. Your daughter won't talk to you. She won't see you. She barely acknowledges that you exist. And all of that mixed together can actually feel like hatred. But it's almost never hatred. Daughters love their mothers. They don't usually hate them. What looks like hatred is actually protection. What feels like cruelty is usually just self-preservation. Your daughter pulling away doesn't mean that she hates you. It means that she doesn't know how to be okay and be in a relationship with you. So she's choosing distance. The love is probably still there, but she's also probably feeling grief. But the relationship that you guys did have was costing her too much, and it was something that she couldn't keep paying. Costing her things like her sense of peace, her sense of self, her mental health. And instead of sacrificing those things and remaining in a relationship, she chose distance to protect herself. Now, this doesn't make your pain less real, but know that on the other side of this, your daughter probably isn't celebrating her freedom from you. She's likely carrying her own complicated grief around the relationship that she doesn't get to have with you. The next story or narrative that mothers tell themselves is the "I failed as a mother" story. This is a shame spiral. It's the "woe is me." It's almost like pity. You're creating a pity party. You must have failed. You must have done something so wrong. Because good moms don't actually lose their daughters. This is one of the most painful places that a mother can put herself and that a mother can be. You look at the distance between you and your daughter and you think, I must have done something terribly wrong. I failed at the most important job that I'll ever have. The fact that your daughter needs distance doesn't mean that you failed at everything. It just means that something inside of your relationship was no longer working for her. You could have done many things right, and your daughter still might need space from you. You could have loved her deeply and still hurt her in many ways that you didn't see. You could have tried your best and done everything that you could with the tools that you had and still caused her pain in some way. Mothering is complex. Relationships are complex. The distance between you and your daughter are likely the result of many different factors, some within your control and some not, because mothering doesn't happen in a vacuum. Personality differences, unmet needs, generational patterns that you didn't even know you were repeating, communication styles that never synced up. Now, does this mean that you bear no responsibility? Absolutely not. You do. If your daughter pulled away, there's likely something you did or said that contributed to that decision. But that's very different from, I just completely failed as a mother. Responsibility and total failure are not the same things. And I like to remind moms that there's not a perfect mother walking this earth. There's no mom around that can say she got it all right. Somewhere along the way, a lot of moms are going to mess up, but a good mom will take accountability. She will listen to her daughter. She will apologize, and she'll believe her daughter when her daughter says, Mom, that hurt me. Mom, I didn't like that. Mom, something in my childhood caused me pain. Where a lot of moms go wrong is they deny that. They defend themselves versus listening to their daughters, and they try to say that their daughter's not telling the truth. That is going to create distance and not create closeness. And the last narrative that a lot of moms create and tell themselves is the "it's too late" story. Now, is it too late to have the relationship that you wanted when she was little? Probably yes. But is it too late to have any kind of relationship? Probably no. But the path forward is probably going to look different than a lot of mothers expect. The relationship that you might get to rebuild with her won't look the same as it was before, and it shouldn't because that was broken, but it also may not look the way that you expect it to. The new relationship that you build might be more boundaried. It might involve less frequent contact, and it might require you to relate to your daughter in a way that you never have before. It might require you to see her in a way you never have before. And sometimes, despite your best efforts, the relationship just isn't going to repair. Sometimes the damage just runs a little too deep for daughters, or your daughter isn't in a place where she can engage, or the change that is required to happen for there to be a relationship just feels too big and too impossible to reach. Now, I'm not saying this to discourage you. I'm saying this because false hope is actually really cruel. I don't want to create false hope if there is none there. The truth is that reconciliation is possible for a lot of mother-daughter relationships, but it's going to require real change. You can't just want things to be different. You have to do things differently for that outcome to actually happen. And I'm saying all of this because I see it happen constantly. I do mother-daughter repair work. I help moms and daughters reconnect their relationship and repair it after it's been broken. So I've seen this time and time again. A mother is devastated by her daughter's distance, so her instincts are to try harder to reach her daughter. She sends more texts. She calls a lot more. She makes more and more attempts at reconnection. And this can look like sending multiple texts when she doesn't respond to the first one, showing up unannounced at her house or workplace, reaching out through other family members or her friends, bringing up the past and trying to explain yourself repeatedly, sending gifts or cards to remind her you're thinking of her, making guilt-inducing comments about how much you miss her, posting on social media about ungrateful children. All of this comes from a place of pain and desperation. You're not respecting the boundaries that she set. You're trying to close the distance that's between you guys, but attempts like this just create more distance. From your daughter's perspective, by not respecting the boundaries that she put in place, you're proving her point that you're not a safe person for her, that you won't honor her need for space, and that you don't really see her and you're not listening. All you're doing is showing her that your need for this connection outweighs what she needs or what she has stated that she wants from you. And so she pulls back further. And you try harder, and she pulls back further. And then you might try harder again, and then she pulls back further again. This is a loop that moms and daughters find themselves in, and everybody just ends up more hurt than if the mom just stopped. So let me revisit last week's framework from your vantage point because I think it may help you understand a little bit more about what's happening here. The distance that your daughter has created is protection for herself. It's not punishment for you. Your daughter is not pulling away to hurt you. She's pulling away to protect herself. When she was close to you, something felt unsafe. And when I say unsafe, I don't necessarily mean physically unsafe, like you would physically harm her, but emotionally unsafe. You don't see her, you don't listen to her, and her emotions are not safe with you. Maybe she felt criticized. Maybe she felt overly controlled. Maybe she felt like she could never be enough for you. Maybe she felt dismissed or like she had to manage all of your emotions. Whatever it was, being close to you was costing her something she couldn't continue to pay. So distance became her tool for survival. This doesn't mean that you're a monster. This means that the dynamics between you, the way you related to each other, the way you were connected or attached, no longer worked for her. Maybe it never did, or maybe there's a turning point where it stopped working and you stopped listening. Most daughters who create distance have tried at some point, probably multiple times, to express what they needed, to express what was hurting, and to share with you what needed to change. She may not have done it perfectly, it may not have been all that clear, but I bet if you think back, she did try. Maybe she tried to set a boundary and you got defensive. Maybe she tried to explain to you that something hurt her feelings, but you just explained to her why she was wrong to feel that way. Maybe she tried to share something vulnerable and you dismissed her or criticized her or just gave unsolicited advice that was not helpful in any way, and again, didn't listen to your daughter. Maybe you expected obedience to be respect, and she was trying to make decisions for her life for herself. After enough of those attempts, she probably stopped trying. Not because she doesn't want things to be different or she doesn't want things to change, but she probably learned that asking for them wasn't really getting her anywhere. So what does your daughter actually need? She needs to feel seen for who she actually is, not who you want her to be. She needs her boundaries respected, even if you don't understand them or even like them. She needs to be able to express difficult emotions with you without you getting defensive or making everything about yourself or your own emotions. And ultimately, she needs to feel safe being herself around you. If you keep doing what you've always done, you're going to keep getting what you've always gotten, or you're going to continue to have no relationship with your daughter. If your relationship broke down because your daughter felt criticized, sending her articles about what's wrong with young people today isn't going to help. If she pulled away because she felt controlled by you, continuing to tell her what she should do isn't actually going to help. If she needed space because conversations about her feelings always turned into conversations about your feelings, then sending her messages like, "I'm just so hurt by your distance," isn't going to get you what you want. It won't actually change anything. So what could a different approach actually look like? Here's one small example. Instead of reaching out to say, "I miss you, why don't you call me anymore?" which just centers your emotions and puts pressure on her, you could try sending a simple message that sounds something like this. "I'm thinking of you. I hope that you're doing well. I'm here if you ever want to talk, but it's also okay if you're not ready yet." This message communicates your care of her while not adding any pressure to her to reach back out to you. It acknowledges her need for space while leaving the door open for her to walk through it. It also doesn't demand a response or make her responsible for your emotions. This is just one tiny example of what shifting your approach could look like. The bigger work surrounding this and making really good changes to reconnect your relationship with your daughter looks like understanding your patterns and the dynamics that are between the two of you, examining what you might need to change about yourself or your behaviors, learning to relate to your daughter in a different way, learning to see her in a different way, maybe for the adult that she is, and being willing to have a conversation about her emotions and what she experienced and letting that be true for her. Those are the kind of things that'll get you your daughter back. I want to give you something before I wrap up this video. It's permission to grieve. You don't have to be okay with this. You don't have to pretend that you're fine. You don't have to perform acceptance or peace for other people. If you're devastated, then you get to be devastated about not having your daughter in your life. You don't have to smile through Mother's Day or pretend that you're fine at family gatherings. Your grief is real and it's allowed to be felt by you. You can be angry or sad, whatever emotion that you're feeling, you are allowed to feel. You can miss your daughter deeply and you can wish that things were different. But, however, on the other side of this, however you want me to start this sentence, but you have to do the work and you have to be willing to look at what caused this and what got the two of you here. Grief and growth can coexist. You can miss your daughter while also doing the work to get her back. But just missing your daughter while continuing the same behaviors that caused her to leave, that's just insanity. You can feel the pain of this loss while also taking responsibility and accountability for the part that you played in it. While I can't promise that your relationship with your daughter will be restored, and I can't guarantee that if you do all the right things that you'll get her back, but I can tell you that the possibility of something changing does exist. The possibility of getting your daughter back in your life is something that can happen. But you can't force it through trying harder through all the things that you've already been trying. They clearly don't work. What you have to do is start to show up differently. When you do your own work to change the dynamics and the behaviors that caused the breakdown, you create space for a new relationship to form and grow. You create the possibility of a new relationship with your daughter. You don't want the old one. It didn't work. Now, a new relationship might not look like what you hoped for. Like I said earlier, she might have tighter and more stricter boundaries. She may want to see you or be around you less. I don't know. You'd have to ask your daughter. But the possibility could be there if you change the approach that you're taking. And the work that you need to do doesn't require your daughter to participate. You can't control if she's willing to engage with you. And that should not be the determining factor of whether you make some changes or not. You can control if you're willing to look at your patterns and how you've shown up, if you're willing to look at your own behaviors and how you contributed to this breakdown, and if you're willing to look at your own contributions to these dynamics, whether it's generational patterns that have been passed down or you just not being able to see your daughter for whatever reason. Now, making changes and deciding that you want to actually work on yourself to create the possibility of having your daughter can look like getting your own therapy to examine your role in the relationship breakdown, identifying the patterns you might have repeated from your own mother, learning to regulate your own emotions instead of making them your daughter's responsibility, understanding what healthy boundaries look like and practicing respecting them, examining where you might have been critical, controlling, or dismissive even when you didn't intend to be. Grieving the relationship you wanted while accepting the one you actually have. Building a life that doesn't revolve around your daughter's presence or absence. This is hard, and it requires a lot of honesty with yourself about things that you may not be ready to look at. It requires sitting with discomfort and resisting the urge to defend yourself or to explain away your intentions. Whether your daughter comes back or not, if you decide to do this work, it really does matter. It matters for you and your own growth and healing. And if she ever does become willing to re-engage and try again, you already completing this work is going to make that process so much easier and going to make the idea of repair so much easier for both of you. You'll be prepared and she'll be ready to try again. If you're a mother to an adult daughter and you're watching this, I'm sure by now you know that you're not alone. There are thousands of mothers walking the same path, carrying the same grief, experiencing the same ambiguous loss, and they're all probably asking themselves the same kinds of questions. You're not uniquely a terrible mother, not the only mother whose daughter had to choose distance. And while I can't promise that you choosing to do this work will bring your daughter back, I can promise that understanding what happened, taking responsibility for your actions and your part in this, and doing the work will give you the best possible chance of getting your daughter back. I've got a group coming up this summer for moms whose adult daughters have pulled away from them. And it's going to walk you through a lot more than just noticing what happened or what went wrong. It's going to give you tools, community, and a clear path forward. I'll be sharing details soon, so stay tuned. Thank you for watching and for being here. And if you missed the last episode, you should go and watch it because it talked about estrangement from the daughter's perspective. This is really hard work, and you're brave for being here, so take care of yourself, and I will see you in the next video.